Hey, it's Liessshy here, and if you've been a follower of mine for a while over on my Instagram, you know about the battle of the networking issues that I have in my house and in this studio. I don't live in the centre of a city or in Melbourne CBD where speeds are extremely fast. I live in the very outer suburbs of Melbourne, down in an almost regional, tiny little coastal town with one road in and one road out. And this suburb, up until only recently, was running exclusively fibre to the node. And 5G doesn't even exist down here. So what I'm going to talk about today is how we fix this problem after a long 6 months of so much stress. So if you're in a similar situation to me, such as being on a big property or living regional, and you're trying to get Wi-Fi across your house or your property, then keep on watching because I'm hoping that this will help you too. So here's a little bit of a breakdown of our networking setup. So I live in a house that's on a 1,270 square meter block, which is quite large compared to most houses and properties these days. We now have a gigabit NBN plan, and we reliably pull speeds of up to 600 megabits per second from the ISP router plugged directly into the NBN box, and that's at a non-peak hour time of day. However, there's about 6 of us in the house, and we all have multiple devices running all the time, especially at night time. We have TVs, phones, consoles, computers, you know the drill. Initially though, we were running the ISP router through the NBN box, but the NBN box is at the front of the property, and because of that, we decided to run mesh systems across the property, across the house, thinking that would work to extend the Wi-Fi successfully. And then we realized this probably isn't the best way to set things up because bandwidth is probably really struggling with the mesh routers across the house. So we then decided to run a Cat6 cable through the roof from the NBN box, which is at the very front of the property, and we ran it through to the lounge room, which is actually situated at the back of the house, and this was so we could centralize the router a little bit more. Just a little note to say that we're still running the ISP router just until we got this situation sorted. We didn't want to waste any more money than what we had already spent on the mesh systems because we wanted to know what gear would be best for us, and once this whole thing was sorted and that router was centralized, then we were going to upgrade. However, before we did have the fiber upgrade, which I'll mention shortly, we actually were running a gaming router, which was from ASUS, but it still wasn't cutting it. Now, why all that information is important and relevant is because this studio is actually in a separate building to the house and is at the very back of the property. From where the router is now, centralized in the lounge room, to the studio, there's probably about 20 to 30 meters. However, there are quite a few barriers in the way within that 20 to 30 meter gap, including brick walls, appliances, electronics, and that's from the router to this studio. Basically what was happening is that I'd get a Wi-Fi connection in here that was impossible to do anything on. A 1 gigabyte game update would literally take an hour to download. So I couldn't game, I couldn't stream, I couldn't even work. And I was getting speeds of around 4 down and 2 up. So that kind of makes sense as to why nothing would work. We ummed and ahed about what to do for a little while because we had only just had the fiber to the premises upgrade. And previous to that, we were actually running Starlink because the fiber to the node in this small town was just not good enough. It was not going to cut it, especially for 6 people in a house. So it was only a few months ago that this little small town had a fiber to the premises upgrade available. So shout out to Aussie Broadband for getting that done for us for free, mind you, which is really, really great. It's been the best thing to happen once we actually got the router situation sorted. We did research when we moved here to see that we were eligible soon for the fiber upgrade, so that was good. We just had to wait for that, so that's why we ended up jumping on Starlink. And when I was streaming on TikTok, I was running on Starlink. It was giving me speeds of like 4 up and 7 down, and again, like it was better than what I was getting, but it still just wasn't going to cut it. I knew the connection just wasn't going to allow me to continue streaming, so that's actually why I stopped. So for reference, we actually spent around $900 to purchase mesh Wi-Fi systems, and we chose to get 2 packs of the triple pack of the TP-Link Deco PX50 mesh Wi-Fi routers. And we had 6 across the property, and in hindsight, that wasn't the best idea. But funnily enough, literally 2 months later, TP-Link did reach out to me to ask to work together, and I told them I couldn't because I cannot get the Wi-Fi to work properly in this house and reach the studio. And they were actually kind enough to take this issue on as a mission for them. Their head of tech and their technicians team, they came up with a solution to fix the Wi-Fi on this property, in this studio, and let me tell you, they have solved it. And I'm so grateful that now I have a working studio and a solid connection in the house, that nothing shuts off anymore, the 6 people in the property, including myself, we're not fighting over things because we can't get strength in one room and there's a weaker signal in the other, and you know the drill. When you live with family and friends, it's a lot. However, I'm going to tell you how they fixed it because this has just been absolutely mind-boggling to me and I don't know why we didn't think of it to begin with. So kicking off with the first issue, and that was removing the mesh systems that we had. We realized that we had way too many and daisy chaining them was not working for us. And how we had them set up in the studio was we had one connected in between the studio and the router, and then one in the studio as well. So it kind of created like a line, and that was just not working. So we got rid of those and we replaced it with this. So this is a TP-Link Deco X50 outdoor router, and this is specifically for outside. So this does allow you to, I guess, get a Wi-Fi connection outside for starters, but for us, it is acting as a bridge between the indoor Wi-Fi and my studio. I'm not going to pretend that I know about networking because I am an average Joe that just knows minimal. So if you do want specs, I'll leave a link in the comments for you, but this has basically been the most game-changing part for us. Obviously, it's allowing the Wi-Fi to reach my studio, but it does give us access outside as well. So if there are a lot of you who have issues with getting Wi-Fi in your backyard or across your property, you probably don't need the next steps that I'm going to talk about. This could just solve your whole problem. I didn't know this existed, and it really is such a simple way to fix a problem. I think the price is around $200, so it really is affordable in my opinion, but it's definitely worth checking out if you have issues with Wi-Fi outside. This can be connected to power via its included AC cable, or you can use power over Ethernet if you like. This is something that we tried previously with our other mesh systems, but didn't have any luck. And where my studio is, it's actually on a different circuit to the rest of the house. But it is weatherproof with an IP65 rating, so you don't have to worry about it getting destroyed from weather conditions, as it is sealed nicely. So that extended our Wi-Fi outside to give us a connection for starters, and a connection that's actually quite solid, which is really good. But it's still not enough to reach this studio and to give me solid speeds in here. So TP-Link also sent over the Deco X50 AX3000 whole home mesh Wi-Fi 6 system. So these are more mesh routers, of course. However, I only need one, and one that gets put into this studio. I'm assuming these are quite powerful routers because TP-Link told me that I would only need one, and then if I use two, it will be completely overkill. So what kind of speeds am I looking at now? Well, check this out. I am genuinely blown away that I am reaching download speeds and upload speeds as high as this for the location that I am in. Going from the nothing that we had earlier to these high speeds now means that I am now able to work, I'm now able to game. God, this is what I hoped for from the moment I built this studio. I cannot believe I didn't have a Wi-Fi connection like this from the start. So now that we have all of this in place, I really like how Deco works, as it groups the whole network together and puts it all under one umbrella. And by all, I mean all the routers we have across the house, including the outdoor one. And what it will do is link up your devices to the closest and strongest router across the property. So let's say I'm in the house on my phone and I'm watching a YouTube video. It'll connect me to the closest router that is the strongest and pulling the highest speeds. Or if I'm in the studio, it'll connect all to the mesh router that I have in here. It won't try to connect to the outdoor router or try to connect to the router in the lounge room. It's all dedicated to this space. So this has been a major improvement, and I now have no issues with online gaming, downloading game updates, uploading YouTube videos. This room is fully functional, and I'm so glad that I had a solution that was not moving houses. The purpose of me explaining this story to you is that I know a lot of you will be like me, living in the suburbs, living in regional areas, not living in the CBD. So thank you so much, TP-Link, for being so generous in offering to solve this solution for me. And I really do hope that your range of products can help other customers who are in similar situations like me. So sound off in the comments below if you have any questions after you hit that subscribe button, and I will try my best to answer them. Remember though, I am no expert, I'm just a consumer. And on that note, I'll catch you next time.